Hi guys, how are you doing? My name is Sabrina, and this is kind of a particular video because we're gonna do some upgrading to my computer. It's not the kind of videos that I'm usually making, but I think it's kind of time for a change, and today's the day. So, what are we installing? I will show you during a little unboxing. What do you think about that? Well, there we go. The first thing we are going to install is a brand new motherboard. Well, brand new. I bought it on Fleabay, and you know, let's have a look at what's in the box. So, in the anti-static plastic, we do have the motherboard in question. We're going to take this out of the plastic in a little bit. Then we have in the box a little CD-ROM with the, I don't know, all the drivers and things you might need. I'm pretty sure you can download these online as well, but yeah, always good to have. There's a user manual. I might be browsing through this one a little bit later off camera, just to be sure that I'm using the motherboard correctly, because it has some neat features that I want to take advantage of. And yeah, it's important to do the things correctly. Here we have a cable mod coupon. I'm going to blank this out. This coupon is mine. I don't want to be too generous on my channel, so this is for cable mods. So this could come quite in handy, because yeah, I've been always such a mess with my cable management. Then we have a very handy dandy little connector pin to make sure that you can connect all your front I/O and all these things correctly, and then just plug this in the motherboard. This is very handy, because this makes so that you don't have to fiddle around in your case with all these little cables and stuff. You can just put everything connected on there and then just plug it in the cable in one go. Alright, this is cool. We have the back I/O panel. This is still sealed, which is pretty awesome. And then we have the SLI high bandwidth bridge. We're not going to be using this because I use AMD GPUs, but yeah, good to know. This is ROG on top of it. Even though the motherboard is a Prime, the Prime motherboards are supposedly motherboards with all the bells and whistles that you would expect from a high-end motherboard. So yeah, I'm really excited on discovering what's on that thing. So this is now the mess I'm going to be dealing with. I already took my GPU out. I still need to remove my M.2 SSD, the RAM chips, and you know, undo these little cable thingies. But as you can see, this case is a mess. It's like a dusty mess. I'm gonna have to clean this out before I install my new motherboard, because I want to do something about all this dust that's building up, and you know, it's just a pain, and you don't want all this flying around your brand new equipment. Also, this is bad for the fans, you know, it just clogs them, and then after a while they don't perform as well anymore. Look at this. This is a stock little CPU cooler. It's been on there for like only a few weeks. It's already covered in dust. It's horrible. Now guys, needless to say, this brings shame to my name, and we want to make things a lot better. Now some of the cool features on this motherboard are RGB aura sync, and this means like lots of pretty colors and gradients of all these colors within the case. This makes everything come to life so much more. So to top this off, I decided to add a little bit of eccentricity on my part, just because I always wanted to experiment with this. Have a look at that. So right here, I just bought the Masterliquid ML240l RGB all-in-one liquid cooler for the CPU unit. So as you can see, it has like 16.7 million colors, whatever that means. It's compatible with Aura Sync, ASRock, RGB, Gigabyte, RGB Fusion, and MSI. Like the major brands it is compatible with, which is awesome. Let's see what's in the box. Let's open this thing. Obviously, I already peeked inside to make sure that nothing is broken, but I didn't really do an unboxing right now. So, what do we have? What's in the box? What's in the box? Let's get started. First of all, there's utensils. There's a back plate. There's screws. There's the RGB header cable with 3-in-1 splitter. There's a Molex connector for some sorts. There's a splitter cable for the fans and stuff. That's pretty neat, Also here we have an RGB control unit, which we are not going to be using because, as I said, we have an Aura Sync enabled motherboard. This is gonna be really wicked. So here are the fans, just Cooler Master fans. They are supposedly not too loud, but I haven't tested them yet, so you know we're gonna have to find out in a little while. There's two of these. Let's put them here. And then, you know, the meat and potatoes. This is the cooling unit. Well, you know, it's quite bigger than I expected. Yeah, that's what she said too. But hey, cool. We have the radiator. This is just gonna come on top inside my casing. It's a very sturdy design. It's pretty light. You know, you would be expecting it to be heavier, being as there should be liquid in there. Now I don't know how this works, but it feels really light. So I'm gonna browse through the manual, make sure I'm not missing anything, and then I'll just start undoing all this mess and putting in this mess and that mess over there. Awesome. Okay, so far so good, the optimist would say. As you can see, taking off things is pretty straightforward, not too complicated. You undo everything you did before and it's just reverse mode. Now you must have noticed that I put back my old CPU. Why is that? Somehow I misplaced the little plastic lid that covers your CPU slot, and it's very important to keep that thing protected. There are tiny little connector pins, and if one of these gets bent, this completely breaks your motherboard. This is not salvageable anymore. So I decided just to put my old CPU, it's a Celeron, nothing fancy CPU that I used to mine on, because this is a BTC mining motherboard. I just repurposed it for just normal use. Now, all that is out of the way. I think I might be taking my case a little bit more apart, just so I can get into all these dust issues, because it's nagging on me. All right, let's do that. So just off camera, I took care of a little bit of this. It was a nasty process, but look at the results. Now this is a clean fan, if any. So maybe in the future I might be opting for an RGB fan over here as well. This would be looking mighty cool. But for now, this is what's gonna have to do. That's okay. You know, I'm really happy with the condition of this fan. It spins very quietly, and yeah, all right. This does the trick. I also cleaned out the inside a little more. Let me turn this so you guys have some light. But now, this little thing here, I would love for this fan to be blowing outwards. Why is that? Just because I believe more in taking air out than pushing air back in. As you can tell, there's like a lot of holes in the framework which allow for air to come in anyway. So it's not like we're going to create a vacuum in there, but just blowing out more heat makes more sense to me than just having air flowing through, because you can never have perfect airflow in a case like this. So, you know, it's an experiment. We'll see what happens, but I do have a good feeling about this. Also, I'm gonna have to take off the back plate to make a little bit of time and effort into cable managing this case, because you know, it's a beautiful case and it deserves to be well managed, well cable managed, that is. All right, now here, front fan, off you go. Okay, so far so good. My case is looking clean. Feeling pretty good about myself right now. What to do first? First, let's install the back plating of the cooling on the motherboard. Let's put in all the things that we can already put in, like RAM chips, NVMe, just those little things. And then we get the CPU as well. Let's just put in the CPU, put it nice and snug in the socket, and then we're gonna do the install. All right. Looking forward to this. Now, this is going pretty well. I'm knocking on wood. Let's hope we keep up the work. Catch you guys in a bit. First things first, let's take all this stuff out of the box. I really am gonna need these, so I'm gonna hold on to them by just throwing them over there. Now let's see. These are for AMD chipsets. Don't need them. Oh, the RGB cable. I'm gonna put this with my RGB sockets. This one is for the fans. So now let's put this also over there. We don't need this. This is for the RGB connector thingy, control unit. Thermal paste and some long pin screws. I think we're gonna need those screws. And then there's some regular thumb screws. Okay, so obviously, clearly, I did not read the manual yet, but it looks pretty straightforward. So, backplate. This comes on the back of the motherboard. And these are the clamps that will come on the cooling unit, like something like this, to secure the cooling block on the CPU, on the motherboard. So let's try and be gentle so we don't break stuff, because when you break it, it's over. Cool. Okay, so far so good. I've been going through this step, the brackets, and I'm ready to put the mounting plate on the back. But there's a big but, guys, and I do not like this. It turns out that I cannot put the back plate on, put it secured on the motherboard, and then install the motherboard in the case. The back plate and the cooling unit kind of mesh together, and this is what holds everything in place. So I'm not really happy about this. I'm still considering my options, because I would prefer installing my motherboard first in the case and then get my cooling unit on, so I can first secure the cooling unit, the radiator, in the case itself, hang it up, and then finally just put the cooling block where it's supposed to be and never ever have to touch it again. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a little bit of brain juice and weigh my options on how I can do this. Just bear with me for a second. First thing I'm going to do is get the fans installed on the radiator. I already know how I want to have these positioned, and then we will work our way up on the motherboard. What do you say, guys? And now we will work our way up the pièces de résistance, the meat and potatoes, the things you have been waiting for. Oh my god. Okay, so this is an eBay bought motherboard. It has quite some dust buildup on it. So first thing I'm going to do is try to very gently remove the dust after I put in my CPU, just to protect the CPU slot. Alright. So after doing the very gently wipe and blow with a very soft side of a brush, I think the motherboard is starting to look good enough. Alright, so now I'm going to start putting in the RAM, the NVMe drive, and then we will have a look and see how we can get this cooler situation, location, propagation done. Alright, so far so good. The motherboard is secured in there and it's filling up my case rather nicely. I'm going to put the radiator here, blowing the air out, and then the cooling block on there. And now first I would like to maybe take some time to connect this little mess here before I'm gonna install the cooling unit. What do you think, guys? Just I think this might be a good idea. Alright, now cable mess is installed. I do like this fitting, though I'm always unsure if I connected these thingies correctly. You know, sometimes I'm gonna have to, I just need to fiddle around with them and just find the proper way. Although I do not like this. Let's remove it and let's place this a little more over all of these. I know it's just aesthetics, but you know, the eye likes to be pleased as well. Put all this over here, like so. I wish I had like a plate to cover all this up, so we don't need to see this anymore. But yeah, you know, if some buts. But here we have our RGB header for the cooling unit. We have on the back the RGB headers. Oh, this is a dirty mess, yeah. That are coming from here. So the entire RGB is going to be motherboard controlled. I'm really looking forward to this. And now let's install the radiator and see what's up. Yeah, guys, well, after a lot of fiddling around, I finally have the case closed. Everything is running, RGB is set up, and this is what it looks like. Just appreciate like how beautiful this case right now is looking. I'm still not sure of where I finally want to keep the radiator with RGB on, because this is an older case and the 5¼ slot, I'm really not going to use this anymore. So I do have some space available to put the radiator there, which will free up my case a little more. It will also allow for the cabling to be a little bit better. The 8-pin power connector, I'm not pleased with this. It's just like a little too short to have it run on the back wall, behind the back wall of my case, but nonetheless, you know, guys, I'm really stoked with the results. And yeah, the motherboard was very easy to install. The configuration was just like straightforward, you know, just plug and play. I have Windows 10 installed, and I didn't even need to reinstall my operating system, which of course very soon I will do. I will make a clean install, but since I'm using an M.2 SSD and knowing that these disks don't really like to be wiped and rewritten and wiped and stuff, I don't want to kill my drive prematurely. And as long as I don't need to, I'm just trying to postpone this. Now, of course, I'm going to try and add a little more RGB, like the back fan of my case. I would love to have this one on RGB. In the front, there's a 20 centimeter, a 200 millimeter fan, which is red, and I would love to have it also synced up with the RGB, so like the whole case is like pulsing in one color. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, because I really enjoyed doing this. If you guys want to see more of this stuff, please leave me a comment, like the video if you do like it. If not, you know, I don't really care what you do about it, just, you know, don't watch it anymore. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you stuck so far, I could only ask you to also subscribe to my channel. I will have a lot of more different content coming, more about my work, more about the gaming, more about all sorts of other stuff. And yeah, this is it. This is me saying goodbye. Take care, guys.